Good day and welcome to the webinar. My name again is Laurie McNaughton. I am a master business coach and I am going to present to you today basically 8 principles for maximizing your potential, both in your business and in your life. Practice these every single day and you will see a dramatic difference in the way that you approach not just your own your business, but your personal life as well. So I'll start off by asking this question. Are you a student of business or are you a professor? I'm going to touch on that in another slide, but I want you to think about that as we go through this, because far too often in my experience, and I've got 18 years of it coaching businesses and 40 some years of being around business owners, and many of them are professors. And not to besmirch professors, because professors are very smart, but typically professors teach something, they don't have a practical practice of it. And the real world is far different than a classroom. So I want you all to be students of business from this day forward, if not for the rest of your life, at least for now. So let me just tell you a little bit about myself. I've been coaching businesses since 2004. So this January, it's going to be 18 years. I've coached hundreds of business owners and their teams, and had with the approximately 90 businesses that I've worked one-on-one with, they've seen over $100 million in increased revenue, a 52% increase in profits, and a 54% decrease in the number of hours that they work. So I've got a little bit of background, I got a little bit of experience, got some bumps and bruises to prove it. But let's get into this and talk about what are the practical principles that will help you maximize the potential of your business and your life. So the first one here I want to discuss here is, do you have a purpose? Do you look at your business from a purpose standpoint, or you just look at it as some way to make money? Does it have a bigger meaning to you? I want you to really think about this, because when you create a bigger meaning for your business, it changes the way that you do business. It changes the way you approach your customers. It changes the way you approach your suppliers. It changes everything about how you do your business. I highly recommend that you really think about what is the purpose of this business. And it could be as simple as to provide an amazing lifestyle for my family, pay for my kids' education, provide some beautiful things for my wife and I. It could be something as simple as that, but it still needs to have some purpose. Now, I would suggest to take a little look outside of just your own family, because if you have employees, you have an effect on their lives as well. And of course, they have an effect on the people that they come in contact, their families, their friends. So make sure that I believe that it's one of the keys to being successful in business is to come from a purpose standpoint. Now, a couple of things about competence. First of all, do you recognize competence in the workplace? Do you have incompetent people working for you? Always be challenging people to check and see what their competencies are. Don't keep people that aren't competent. Don't keep them in a job that they're not competent in. It's going to cost you a lot of heartache. It's going to cause you a lot of stress and probably some anxiety. And it's going to cost you a lot of money as well. And then, are they accountable? And the best thing to think about from an accountable standpoint, and I'm going to touch base on that in the very next slide, is how accountable are you? So in this slide where we've got above and below this line, you can see below the line, we've got blame, deny, excuses, do nothing, wait for others, find fault, see failure, no control, see obstacles or problems, and obstacles, stay stuck, and ignore and deny. That's below the line. And as you can see, I put the little battery in there because it's draining to be below the line. It absolutely sucks the very existence out of your life by being below the line. Above the line is making choices, because every day you wake up in the morning, you make a choice. Am I going to have a good day? Am I going to have a bad day? Am I going to be happy today? Am I going to be miserable today? You get to choose that. Are you accountable? when you're above the line, you're going to find better ways of doing things. You're going to seek out feedback, and you're also going to provide feedback. You're going to take a lot of actions. You're going to solve problems. You're going to own it and seek solutions, and you're going to see it. And I put the little battery that's full there, because as you approach life from that perspective, it's going to energize you. It's going to excite you. When you wake up in the morning and you know you're going to be above the line, it energizes and excites you. So let's now talk a little different above and below the line, and it's related to working on and in your business. If you're working on your business, you're going to see the fruits of your labor. You're going to have a lot of success, and you're going to have a lot of time back. If you're always working in your business, you're going to have not very deep pockets, and you're going to be drained again. The difference is dramatic and huge in business. The difference between working on and in your business. And let me give you an example. Let's just say, for instance, you're a plumber or an electrician or a carpenter, and you have your own small business, which essentially means you and maybe one or two other people. It's very difficult to work on your business if you're the person that's working on the tools all the time. And I want you to think about, if you want to grow a business, and you don't have to, nobody says you have to grow a business, but your business is your product. If you're going to grow like a successful business that's going to provide a lifestyle for you that most people only ever dream about, and employ a lot of people and give and pay them and remunerate them in a high way that's really good for them and their families. So if you're going to build a business, your business becomes your product. If you're going into the houses and fixing what do they call those things, traps in the toilets, or backflow valves, or installing things in people's homes, you are not going to have the energy to work on your business. You really have to always be considering this when you're growing your businesses. How do I get out of the working in my business and get working on my business? You do that through leverage. I'm not going to get into a lot of details on that part of the business. I'm going to cover that in other webinars. If you're interested in learning more about that, you can always contact me, and I'm going to give you my contact information at the end of the day. So both above the line from the standpoint of being accountable, responsible, and taking ownership of your business is going to energize you. Blame and excuses and denial below the line is going to suck the very life out of you. Working in your business all the time is going to drain you, and you're only ever going to get paid. If you're, like I said, if you're a plumber and you're working in your business, in your business, you're only going to get paid what a plumber would get paid. When you work on your business, you create a successful business, then you get paid the remuneration for building something incredible. So the only failure in life is the failure to participate. If you give it 100%, you'll get 100% out of it. I put this picture of this team on this racing sailboat, because there's nothing more dramatic than, in my mind, than sailboat racing, because you can see by the picture in here, there's probably, I don't know, maybe a dozen people on that boat. Everybody has to be working in sync, and they have to give it 100%, and they have to do it all at the right time in order to win, because the difference between winning and losing is, I don't know what it is, minutes, maybe seconds, depending on the race. So the only failure in life is the failure to participate. Give it 100%, you'll get 100%. And talk to your team about this. Don't be afraid to share these ideas with them. One thing I learned as a coach, because I have done a massive amount of personal development and professional development. And sometimes I get into this place where I'm just assuming that people know about certain principles, and they don't. Share them with them, because it will enlighten them and change their lives. And this goes back to purpose. And this is why I do what I do, because I like to change people's lives. I like to see the excitement on a business owner's face when they have the most profitable year they've ever had in business, and they got a great team of people working effectively for them to create something really cool. So give it 100%. Here's one of my favorites, and this goes back to the when I started out talking about, are you a student or are you a professor? And I put Einstein, a picture of Einstein on here. Now, he was a professor, but he was also someone who really thought outside of the box. And to maximize your potential, you have to take those two words, I know, and get rid of them, or otherwise you end up like the cat in that box. You're stuck in this small world where you're trying to figure things out and you can't see outside of that. New thinking creates new choices, new actions, new results. If you're not thinking about how do you make your business more effective, how do we become more profitable, how do we do more with less, if you're not asking yourself good questions like this, you're going to be stuck with just doing repeat, rinse and repeat, do the same thing over and over again. So be more like Einstein and less like a professor at a school. And again, I only say that because like professors teach people valuable information, but they don't necessarily have a practical application of it. And anybody that knows anything about business knows that once you start to apply things into business, that things get really dynamic and things change and can evolve and go in directions you didn't know they were going to go in a very short period of time. All right, so the next principle I want to talk about is the formula for abundance in life, and that is the be, do, and have. We all know there's things we want to have in our lives, and there's certain things we need to do in order to have those things, but it's who you are being or who you are becoming. Like if you're brand new to business, you're just started out, maybe you're a year or two in and you got a few employees in there, you probably know that you can't just be, like I said, a plumber. You need to become a business owner. So the first thing I'd suggest is you get clear on what it is that you want to have. Get really clear on what that is that you want to have. You know, if it's about providing, being able to pay for your kids' education, if it's about, having a nice home, having nice vehicles, being able to travel, having freedom, being able to go to concerts and plays and go out for dinner on a regular basis and never have to worry about how much it costs. Get really clear first on what it is that you want to have. Now, I put this picture up here because this is a picture of Vietnam, and my wife and I are going to Vietnam in 2022. And so that's a very clear have for the two of us. So I just using this as an example. So the next thing you need to do is what is it that you need to do? So obviously to build a successful business, remember what I said about your business is your product. So there's all the systems and processes about operations. There's all the systems and processes around the financial part of the business. There's all systems and operations around hiring, firing, training, how the customer interacts with your business, with your company. There's all these things that you need to do. Now, as your coach would say, you need to document how these things do, how they work. So the first thing you need to do is create what we call an organizational structure for the business. And then each one of those pieces, so it could be sales and marketing, it could be HR, it could be operations, client fulfillment, and then just start to build this out. Build it on using your computer, build it on paper if you'd rather do it that way. And then just file those things so you can start to see how things go through your business, how the work goes from when a customer comes in or calls you to when you get paid by that customer. So there's a lot of things you're going to need to do in order to have what it is that you want to have. So come back to the be, because again, remember, it's be times do equals have. So, you need to be a leader. You need to show leadership. You need to get out of your comfort zone. You need to teach, coach, train your people. And here's the thing. If you want your people to grow and become the best employees that they can possibly be, you need to get out of your comfort zone, because that gives them the motivation to get out of their own comfort zones, to learn and grow and become the best that they can be. I put the little picture up of the guy holding the bridge so people can go across, because that is leadership personified. Here's what leadership isn't. When somebody on your team has a big win, you don't take credit for it. When you have a failure in your operation, you take responsibility for it. I've seen it several times over my lifetime of coaching businesses, and actually before I even became a coach, where business owners, when something good happened, they're taking all the credit for it, even though it was the people who worked for them that actually created the success for them. And then, but when something goes wrong, they got their finger out, they're wagging their finger at people, blaming them for everything. I know somebody like that today, and his business is just imploding. I don't have anything to do with this guy, but his business is falling apart around him. So you need to become the leader that the people need, that your employees need. So you do the things that leaders do so that you can have what it is that you want to have. Okay, so let's move on to the next principle, and that is the formula for change. D times V plus FS is greater than R. So what does that exactly mean? Well, dissatisfaction times vision plus first steps becomes greater than the resistance to change. Now, if you look at this, a lot of people have a huge amount of resistance to changing anything in their lives. You probably notice that with some of the people that work for you. You probably notice that when you look in the mirror, that oftentimes you resist change, you resist reaching out, you resist asking for help. There's all kinds of resistance that's out there. And if you look at it from a formula standpoint, if your dissatisfaction is, say, 5, and your vision is 10, and your first steps is 10, that means 5 times 10 is 50, plus 10 is 60, and your resistance is 100, you're not going to make those changes. So the first thing you need to do is, what am I most dissatisfied about with my business? Write the 5 or however many things. There's going to be at least 5 things that you're dissatisfied with in your business. And then you're going to ask the question, what would it look like if it was working the way I wanted it to? What would it look like if it was working the way I wanted it to? And then the first step. So going back to the formula, if you go, your dissatisfaction is 50 and your vision is 100, and your first steps is 100. So it's 50 times 100 is 5,000 times another, or not, plus 100 is 5,100, and your resistance is 100. You're going to bowl that resistance over. So think about that as you look at your business. Like, is it client fulfillment? Is it sales? Is it marketing? Is it your employees? Is it the way, are people disorganized? Are people showing up for work late? What is it that you're dissatisfied? What will it look like when it's working the way you want it to work? What are the first steps I need to do in order to take? Because it's those small steps that's going to move you from just the idea to a practical application of it. Okay, so let's move on. The next step here is the principle of maximizing your potential. Is you got to have a growth mindset. You absolutely unequivocally need to have a growth mindset. Otherwise, you're just going to be stuck. You can't have negative thoughts and create a positive outcome. So, if you're stuck in this idea that, what, I've failed before and I don't want to take a chance, I don't like being challenged, all of my real potential is predetermined before I was ever born, whenever I get, as it says here, when I get frustrated, I give up. That's a fixed mindset, and that's not going to serve you well. And honestly, if you can't change your mindset, you would be way better off just working for somebody else and showing up for work, doing great work, getting paid at the top of the scale, taking vacations, and enjoying life. Because the challenges that come with success in business are massive. And you need to absolutely get this growth mindset. So as it says here, a failure is an opportunity to grow. We learn by making mistakes. Challenges help me grow as a person, and I like to try new things. that you have to create that growth mindset if you don't already have it. And if you're not willing to get it, do yourself a favor and just go get a job and work for somebody. You might want to move around just to find somebody that you like working for, but show up, do good work, and you will be, your life is just going to be that much better, just because there's so much stress involved with creating a successful business. And if you don't have a growth mindset, it's going to just amplify that stress to the point where it causes you to have anxiety. A lot of business owners have substance abuse problems, and that leads to family problems, the breakdown of the family. You don't need that. You don't need that. The other thing is to remember is, you got to be willing to have some fun. Business is supposed to be fun. Nobody, you don't look up in the dictionary under businesses and it says no fun. It doesn't say having fun either, but the point of it is that it should be fun. When you come into work every day, it should be fun for you, for your team, for your customers. Just go out of your way to have a lot of fun. Life is way too short. We're only here for a nanosecond in the grand scheme of things, literally. So don't waste one day of your life not having fun. Okay, so the next thing I want to share as a principle of maximizing your potential is something called the reticular activating system. It's an internal guidance system, but you have to set the guidance system. It doesn't set itself. And that is, you do that, pardon me, you do that by setting goals. Once you set a goal, then your guidance system is turned on, for lack of a better term. Yeah. So, write out your goals. What's most important to you? What do you want to accomplish? What are the things you want to do in your life? What are the things you want to have in your life? Because now you're going to start to, as I said, set your internal compass, and it's going to go like, let's say, for instance, you go, you know what? I need to have better employees. What's going to happen is you're opened up your reticular activating system, your compass, to not just attract better people, but also to recognize better people. If you're, for another example is like, let's just say, you decide, yeah, I'm going to take my wife and my kids on a vacation to Disneyland. You're going to see ads, whether it's online or in a newspaper, wherever you absorb your information, sales to go to Disneyland, something that you wouldn't have seen otherwise. That's your reticular activating system at work. So be clear and set goals. Okay. To also make sure that you maximize your potential is to understand this slide right here. Your plan is going to go awry. There are going to be obstacles. There are going to be turns and hills and mountains, and as it says here, sharks and fires and spider webs that are going to get in the way. Just be completely aware of that and understand that, because as you do that, pardon me, you understanding the challenge is going to make it that much easier, and it's up because you're going to know what the challenge is. So that's my presentation on the principles that you need to have in order to succeed at a high level, whether that's in business or working for somebody else. It's the same process. I also am going to be posting up a webinar here very shortly called The Principles and Practices of Working Together. Throughout history, mankind has taken on the biggest challenges, and when we work together, we are able to accomplish those challenges and succeed at a level that is unimaginable at times. I think about I believe his last name was Silk. He was the guy that came up with the insulin. At that time, people were in diabetic comas. And when he developed the insulin and they started injecting it in people were waking up out of diabetic comas because smart people got together to create insulin for people. And, throughout history, mankind has stepped up when they needed to step up. So I just want you to remember that as well, because that's really could be a core principle for maximizing your potential too, is to maximize your team. And the only way to maximize your team is getting everybody to work together. So stay tuned for that presentation. So before I let you go, I just want to make an offer if some of you might be interested in working with me. I have this software. It's really breakthrough software, and it shows where to look for profit in business. And it analyzes 12 areas in a business using over 500 million algorithms. And basically, I go through each of those 12 areas with you in your business, and we look to where is the best opportunity for profit in your business. At the very least, you're going to learn some things about where you need to poke your head in order to maximize the profitability in your company. Or at the very most, you might say, you know what, I would really like to have somebody like yourself come in and help us implement a lot of this stuff. And, you know, for all intents and purposes, I work for the cost of a part-time employee. So an expensive part-time employee. Let me be clear about that. And this is why I put this requirement in here. You got to be doing at least $500,000 in revenue. And you also need to have more than 4 employees, or at least 4 employees, because it's hard to implement strategies when you don't have enough people to delegate work to. So you've got to be doing $500,000 in revenue, and you got to have more than 4 employees. And I will take the time to put you through what we call the Jumpstart 12 and show you where the profit in your business. It takes about 45 minutes, and I'll do that. I'll demo that for you for free. You might say, oh, that's just a sales thing. It's not a sales thing. Here's what I know. When I show this to people, people go, yes, I want some help. And other people say, no, I don't want any help. Both answers are really good. But both of those people are going to get the benefit of being put through the process and understanding more about where they can see the profitability in their business. So if you're interested, just email me at Laurie@lauriemcnaughton.com. and just say, yes, I want to go take advantage of your offer. And it's a free, as I said, no sales pitch, 45-minute meeting. I'll show you stuff that you can't even really imagine. And if you say, yeah, I want some help with this, then great. I'll talk about what the programs are. If you say, no, I'm good, I'll say, great, I'm happy for you. But again, I only want people that are doing at least $500,000 in revenue. I'm sorry to exclude people that are under $500,000. It's just that they typically, they can't get the results that we need to get in a short period of time. Now, having said that, I will say this, because those people who might be interested in, we have a DIY program, a do-it-yourself program. It's online. It's almost like an online MBA program. There's 50 weeks of lessons in here. And if it's $147 a month, if you purchase the whole year in one lump sum, I will do the profit acceleration software for you. And then you have to be committed to the process of following through on all the lessons. If you fall through all the lessons, your business is going to change dramatically. So again, I want to thank you for listening. Again, it's Laurie McNaughton, your master business coach with Positanoid Concepts, as well as I call it TPQ Business Academy, because it's called Turn a Profit Quick. We're going to look at how do we create more profit in your business really, really fast. So thanks. Have yourself a great day. I'll look forward to having the opportunity to work with you someday.